Hi, I'm Angie. I'm an indie author who has a life's passion of writing. I want to be a full-time author one day. I published this book in 2023, Slice. It's a slashy horror novel. But today I want to talk to you about a project I've had shelved for over a year now. When I published Slice, I was so certain that I only wanted to write horror. It's been such a passion of mine for so many years that I was like, this is it. I'm going to be a horror author. I love it. Let's go. So I started writing the project I'm self-titling In the Family in fall of 2023, right after I published this book. I dove headfirst into it. I was writing it from September all the way up till November, and then all of a sudden, I got derailed. Suddenly, I found myself with no interest to work on the horror novel because I had fallen in love with fantasy. Now, fantasy and I don't go way back like I do with horror. I was kind of in a weird spot of like, I've never written fantasy. I was just in the beginning of my fantasy journey of reading, and so I was kind of like, what am I doing? I can't write a fantasy novel. Like, I was gonna be a horror author. Like, you can't just like switch genres like that. And so I was just like not writing the horror project and kind of just sitting on this fantasy idea until one day I said, fuck it. I started writing this fantasy project right there in November of 2023. I scrapped the project In the Family, and I dove into this world that I had created from a dream, and I was like, okay, we're going all in. The idea for one book turned into the idea for a series. I never expected to find so much joy and fulfillment in writing this series, in writing fantasy of all things. And I'm happy to say that I think over the past year-ish since then, I've grown my writing skills so much and really expanded what I thought I could do with writing. I fell in love with fantasy completely. I'm happy to say that that fantasy novel that put everything else on the back burner, that is now coming out later this year. I'm going to announce it in another time, but be on the lookout for that. I'm self-publishing it. So excited. The cover is so beautiful. But anyways, now that that's ready to be published, I'm working on book 2 in this series. I'm currently editing my first draft right now. But still in the back of my mind, I'm like, what about that horror project? Because you see, even after switching from horror to fantasy and diving into writing this series, I still love horror. Horror is one of my top genres, and I think it always will be. So I decided, yeah, it's not really conventional, but why can't I just write what I want to write? I coined the term for myself, mood writer, instead of mood reader, mood writer. So I just kind of write whatever genre fits the mood, whatever I'm drawn to at the moment. So even though I'm publishing a fantasy series, I want to go back to my roots in horror and really go back into that lane and have fun. I am nothing if not a workaholic when it comes to writing. Like I said, this is my life's passion. This is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. I just want to be creating stories and sharing them with the world. So even though I'm working on self-publishing in the next few months and editing another book right now, I'm still going to start a new project. Yes, it's crazy to be working on 3 books at the same time. It's overambitious. It's probably a little reckless. But like I said, I'm a workaholic. I can't control myself when it comes to projects, so I'm just going to go all in. So let's talk about working on project In the Family and where I'm going from here. I already started writing this project in fall of 2023, so I have a lot of things already done, but let's talk about it. I have what I like to call a half draft, and a half draft is half of a first draft. So since I started writing this, I wrote it for almost 3 months. I have about 33,000 words here, and I think I have about 15 chapters. You'll notice that I have started editing this a bit, but I did not finish editing it because the fantasy project took precedent. And I started editing this and I was like, there's a couple things off with this now that it's been over a year since I've sat down with it. The first thing, which I'm very grateful for, is I think my writing skills have surpassed where this was at the current time. Like I said, I started writing this right after I published my first book. It's been over a year since then. I've written a lot since then. I've written 2 first drafts since then and finished 1 book. there's been a lot of writing done in that time frame. So, though I love the content of this, I feel like I can do better where I'm at now. Now, the second problem with this is how short the chapters are. When I was looking through this and trying to work on a new outline, I realized that this is so short compared to what I have been writing. And hear me out really quick. If you read this book, I know you thought it was too long. I understand. You're completely valid in that assessment. 500 pages is crazy for a horror novel. I get it. I'm not Stephen King. I understand. However, I'm a girl that loves to yap. If you've watched my videos, you know this. I cannot shut up. The same goes for my books. I have a lot to say. And so, take it with a grain of salt when I say this is too short. The chapters are not fully fleshed out. And I know, yes, it's a first draft, but my first drafts are pretty flushed in terms of like what happens in the content of the chapter. And so this needs to be way longer. Not this long. Trust me. I've learned from my mistakes. I'm trying to keep this under 400 pages. It's going to be just like your typical horror novel in terms of length. So it still needs to be longer. I also want to mention that first drafts are by no means your polished story. There is so much that goes into first drafts and first edits and second edits and blah, blah, blah. All that comes after. Like, this is just getting the story vomited onto the paper. What happens after that? Future Angie's problem. The third thing I realized when I was reviewing this manuscript is currently I have it in dual POV. I have it in the POV of the main character and the POV of the boyfriend of that character. Now, while this gave me some really cool moments in the past when I was writing this, I think it needs to be tightened up a bit to keep more vague and mysterious to the reader. I don't think they need all the information I'm giving them now. I think it kind of lets some things slip. And so I'm going to be adjusting this to not fully take out the dual POV because I do think there's some value to it, but I'm going to cut the second POV down at least by half. If you've watched my videos before, you know I make a script and I try to plan out everything I'm going to say, and then I go totally off script and just ramble. So of course I forgot to tell you what this project is even about. Project in the Family is about our main character, Sam, who goes on a road trip with her boyfriend to a small unincorporated town for his father's funeral. Now, Sam goes along with her boyfriend to try to strengthen their relationship and get him to open up and hopefully build something stronger so eventually they can move their relationship to the next stage. However, her boyfriend is very closed off. He's very secretive and he hasn't told her a lot about his past. Now, as an investigative journalist, Sam is a little intrigued, a little curious, a little skeptical of this. So, when she goes to his father's funeral, she wants to know, what's really the situation here with your family? Why haven't you seen them in 10 years? What's really going on here? She quickly learns that yes, there are secrets hidden in this town, and as much as she's dying to find out what secrets his brothers keep, she really might not want to know in the end. This is full of drama because you know I love drama. It's full of really eerie, spooky moments. It's full of some true crime feeling things. It's just, I love it. I'm so excited to dive back into it. It's very much the spooky, in the woods, ambient, like, don't know what's really going on, creepy characters, creepy estranged brothers that are, like, very, like, uncanny and, like, you don't know what they're really up to, but you know it's bad. I love this. Now, aside from my half draft and the problems I know it has, I'm also bringing some other resources to utilize in my rewrite. The first of those resources, and I'm going to put an actual photo on the screen so you don't have to zoom into this, is all the work I've done with mood boards. So every single project I have has a fully built out Pinterest mood board with what I envision the characters to look like, what I envision the setting to look like, just like general vibes. As a visual person, I need the vibes. So I have that. I also tried to build out character sheets as much as I can. Some are more detailed than others. Sometimes I just kind of like to let the character like come to me as I write versus like planning out their whole life right then. I found this sheet from someone who made like Notion templates. It was like for D&D, but I like bought it, took it, and like recalibrated it to my needs. So I have like different categories and things. But some of the things I like to flesh out right off the bat, like what's the character's name? What's their role in the story? Are they the protagonist, the antagonist? Are they the love interest? You know what I mean? Are they the red herring? Age, height, any nicknames people give them, like general descriptions of what they look like physically. I like going over motives, so like what are their fears, what are their desires, like what's their ghost, what's their past trauma. I really like doing, and I know people hated that in this book, some people did, of like quirks and like what people do, like what their nervous tics are. Bex was chewing the inside of her cheek and people were like, why is this bitch keep chewing the inside of her cheek? It's because she's nervous. But so I like going over like what are their mannerisms, their habits, their tells, their personality, how do they treat others, what's their like speech or tone, what like quirks or oddities do they have, do they have any scars, do they have any tattoos. I go like as full detail as I can in this, and it usually gets built out over time as well. So I have all my character sheets for the main characters in this story. I, in the past, have not done an outline. I've tried a lot of different plotting methods. I've tried like the 3-act structure. I've tried like the 7 points of plot, whatever that one is. I have found that I really just enjoy doing a chapter by chapter breakdown of what happens. So I just get a document and I just kind of like word vomit into the document and I'm like, okay, chapter 1, this needs to happen, and these characters really in this way, and maybe here's an idea for some dialogue I want to do, and I kind of just like throw in all my ideas, and then I go through chapters 1 through the end, and just kind of map out what I think needs to happen, and then as I'm writing, I utilize that document to keep me on track, but I leave a lot of room for discovery writing in the moment, so if I say character A is going to go over to character B's house, and accidentally break a dish and they get in a big fight. Maybe while I'm writing that, character A actually doesn't break a dish and they do something else, they insult the character B in another way, and then that leads to the fight. Like, I leave a lot of room for exploring the story inside those chapters, and as long as like they get from point A to point B, so like in that scenario it would be like arrive at the house, leave having a fight, like whatever happens in the middle is like what I figure out in the moment. And there's lots of room for exploration. Another thing I love to use for inspiration, aside from my mood boards and my character sheets, I am such a sucker for music. I make a writing playlist for every single project I have, and so I just build it out in Spotify. They're usually like an hour to like 4 hours long. I just dump whatever inspires me in that playlist. It's a lot of like movie soundtracks. It's a lot of like ambient noise. It's a lot of like just weird stuff, and like really good like emotive music. So that always goes in my writing playlist. I have one for this project that I'm going to utilize. So mood board, character sheets, Spotify playlist, half draft. I have a really good starting point, but I want to talk about why this is not going to be fully utilized. Also, if you see me bouncing, I'm on an exercise ball as my chair. So don't mind that. If I'm just like, if there's like weird noises, it's just me on the exercise ball. Exercise ball in question. Now, like I said before, this half draft has a couple issues. My writing skill at the time, the too much dual POV, the short chapter length. And I went back and forth about this for a long time and debated with myself, and I realized that rather than just start from where I left off, like chapter 15 or something, and right through the end, I'm going to start completely over. Now I know what you're saying, Angie, that's crazy. You already have all this work done. Hear me out. I think it's going to be harder for me to start from the middle and write the end, and then come back and have to rewrite the first half to match the new stuff, than if I just started over, use this as reference material, and pick and choose what I want from this, and keep my writing tone and skill consistent throughout the novel. I honestly don't think it's going to make the process any longer. It actually might save me time in the rewrites, because everything's going to be cohesive. Now, I have written 3 completed first drafts since I started this project, and I've finished 2 books. This one and the one that's coming out later this year. So, I can confidently say that I have my own writing process pretty fleshed out. I know how much I can write in a day and not lose my mind. I know how long it'll take me to write. I know how many days I can write in a row before I feel like I'm losing my mind. I have a good idea of what I'm capable of. So, here's the plan for taking Project in the Family from an okay half draft to a completed first draft. I estimate that if I write 1,500 words a day for 6 days a week, which is writing under 2 hours, about 6 pages a day. If I do that and start on Wednesday, February 6th, which is 2 days from when I'm filming this now, I can have everything completed, writing 6 days a week, 1,500 words a day, by the end of March. Now, I hear you. That sounds crazy from where you're sitting, but knowing my process so well and knowing how quickly I can write and how much I can write and getting this first draft done, I think that's super doable for me. Future Angie coming back because I forgot to mention something. I was just reading the script I didn't stick to, and I am trying to make this new project, first draft, be between 60,000 and 80,000 words. Now, like I said, this half draft currently is about 33,000 words. It's too short, so let's just say I fleshed it out to 40,000, double that, 80,000. 60 to 80,000 is where I want to be. This book was, we established, too long. It was 110,000 words. I'm sorry. It's my first book, I had to do it. But so this is going to be shorter for sure. And based on that 60 to 80,000 word count for this first draft, that's how I estimated how many days it would take me to write, given 6 days a week, 1,500 words per day. I'm so excited to be bringing this project back from the dead. I literally haven't stopped thinking about it for the past year, and I've always been like, oh, that story is so good, like, I just need to, like, revisit it and finish it, and I'm so excited that I'm now dedicating my time to doing this. If you guys are interested to see how I take this from a sad little half draft to a finished first draft, and then everything that comes after that, subscribe, and I will be posting writing updates, little vlogs, everything that happens in a writing session, any roadblocks I hit, any wins I have, and just really my whole process for taking this from start to finish. So, stick around, stay tuned, and until then, happy reading. In the Family is one of those stories that encapsulates is a spooky story. What am I, like 10 years old? I'm so sorry. Once again, I always have a script, and I don't read the script. You want to see the script? 3 pages of notes and things to say, and I just go on tangents. I guess that's better than me just being like, I can estimate that this first draft will and should be about... Oh, I forgot to mention that. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, hi there, didn't see you. Maybe want to buy my novel so I can do this full time? It's very dramatic, I promise you. Lots of drama. 500 pages of shitty characters doing shitty things. Pretty great. Oh my god, I just attacked the skeleton guy. I'm so sorry. Doc, I'm so sorry. Doc. Oh no. Doc is down for the count. My apologies, sir. I love this story. Oh, the characters are so good. So fucking creepy. The brothers are so creepy. Fucking Cooper. Fucking Cooper, man. Cooper is scary. Cooper needs to be scarier. I want people to read this book and have problems sleeping at night. I want you to be so freaked the fuck out that you're like, should I keep the bathroom light on? Honestly, if someone told me, yeah, I'm gonna write my first draft for my full-size novel in under 2 months, I would tell you that you're lying and that you're a kiss-ass. But it's actually possible if you're just psychotically dedicated to your craft. Luckily, I am. I really hope that in my other videos, people didn't think I was like constantly farting because of this exercise ball. That would be really embarrassing. Can we get some commotion for the pants? Look how cute these are. So cute. Hi, I'm Angie, and I am crazy.